How's it going, YouTube? Russell here. Just got back from PPG Dallas. Got top 8, lost to Justin Rios playing his baby deck, which he won with. Unfortunately, lost in game 3 because I didn't understand ruling interaction, which probably would have won me the game, but at least now I know, and it actually makes Hatchiyack way better. So that's good to know going forward. But yeah, so I played Dr. Litchi and Hatchiyack. For those that don't know, on his front side, you can auto place a top card of your deck under him, mill a card, and then draw a card. And then when you have 3 black energy and 3 cards under him, or I think it's just if all your energy is black and you have 3 cards under him, you can put them into the drop and then draw a card and awaken. And both his front and back side have the same ability where if your opponent attacks with a battle card, they can't attack with battle cards for the rest of the turn that are 7 or less, unless it's the same battle card. And then his back side is attack, draw 1, and he gains 5k, which is actually pretty dumb. So going into the main deck, we have 2 of the 1-drop Dr. Litchi and 4 of the blockers. So just for reference, this isn't the exact list that I played for Dallas. This is kind of like updated. If I were to go back and then make changes, what I would play before Dallas.
It's that hotness, new hotness.
Just because I didn't really get to test a lot and I went in pretty blind to this event. So there was a few changes I would have made. This is one of them. This card was busted all day. But there's a lot of ways to recycle this guy in this deck. So I think 2 is the right number. But it's really good against Baby because you can play him out turn 1, and then if they attack, you block, and then if you have this in hand, you get to play him down. So it just stops a lot of aggro. And this guy's really good because if you don't have Dark Planet, which you don't always want to play Dark Planet, but sometimes you still want to mill in your match, he still mills too. Going into Ghost Warriors, we run 2 Cooler and 3 Slug, and then the 2 Planet. So these were other changes I made. I took the Turtles out and bumped him up to 2, and then I bumped this from 3 to 2. This card's good, and it grabs you whichever one you need early game to deal with your opponent's board, but 3 just felt like too much. You don't always want to play this guy out. And I bumped him up to 2 just because he's a lot better than I thought he was. The Activate Battle is really relevant, especially when your opponent Dark Banish or Foos. You can Activate Battle and put it down to 15, and then it's just a lot easier to deal with. And it also triggers another card in the deck that I'll get into, which all these trigger, but he's the best one to use it with. So that was that. And then to the Hatchiyack lineup, I ran 4 of the 4-drop and 4 of the 5-drop that becomes the 8-drop, and 1 of the dash pack. So this was another change I made. I wasn't running this, but I played against the Hatchiyack player, and I ended up winning that matchup, but this was kind of like annoying to deal with. So I decided to put it in just because it's another beater, helps clear boards. And you don't need it in hand, just as long as it's in the drop, it's always live. But yeah, I mean, this guy was broken all day. I saw a lot of builds not running the 4 and 4, but this card's just too good. It just allows you to play a longer game and slowly whittle your opponent down. Like, you start dropping like 2 of these against Janemba if you saw my stream match, and there's just like nothing they can really do. And then for the main win condition of the deck, 1 Demigra and 1 Power Overseeing Time Trunks. This is like how you win fast. If you and your opponent are playing a good pace, you get to turn 5 and you slam this, a lot of times you win. Obviously, if you're playing against like blue decks, if they have 4 energy up, you expect the UI. And sometimes you just have to play through them and just like get them all out of their hand, because this deck you can like tap 5 for this, and if they UI, you're not just going to die on your next turn if you stay at a high life total. So just depending on the game state, you can just slam this guy down, waste their UIs, and eventually he's going to stick. Which is why you run this guy, in order to grab him back if you mill him or you play him and your opponent lets it go through it and they're able to like pop it. So this is just the second Demigra. And then 1 of the Box Topper. This card was actually a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Before the tournament, I just had some flex spots, so I threw him in there. But he won me a game against Toa because I was able to pop a time regulator and my opponent didn't see another one after that. But in the mirror match, this guy is really good because a lot of times, if your opponent slams down their 8-drop first, on your turn you just play this and warp it, and then he's double strike pressure, and then on their turn, if they play another 8-drop to deal with him, Then on your turn, you play your first 8-drop and warp theirs, and they've just lost 2 8-drops while you've lost none. So just as a battle of attrition, you're really far ahead of them. So this card was actually really good. And then 2, the SS3 Tag Team Gohan. This was the card I was talking about that interacts with all the Ghost Warriors. Especially the cooler, you can activate the cooler in battle on your opponent's turn, neg something 10k, and then play him for free, and he's a free blocker. He's amazing against Baby. This card's just all around really solid. And then a little package I played was 2 of the Time blockers and then 2 Majesties. So this combo is really broken, especially against the Toho player I played against. Turn 4, I just slammed this down, drew a card off of it, played this, drew a card off of it, and then every single turn I would just block his big guy with this. And it didn't matter if he was warping 3 from my hand every turn, because I draw 2 back from these and then 1 off my leader. So every turn I'm actually not losing cards out of hand. And I just keep doing that until he just runs out of gas, and then he either decks out or I kill him with Demigra or Hatchiyacks. So this card's like, this was amazing all day. And then I run a Kiku package. For those that have been following my Toa decks, you know I love this package. It just lets you stay at a high life total. I was able to win a lot of games sitting at 8 life just because this just stops so much pressure early. Like against Baby, you open up 2 of these, and then their leader, even though it has dual attack, is never touching your life early on. So it's pretty disgusting. And then I ran 3 of the Goku Negate and 4 Power Bursts. Negates are just really important in this deck. This is another change I made from my Dallas list. I bumped this up to 3 just because of how good it was. Like being able to negate with this, then combo it off on attack, and then Power Burst and bring this back to your hand. It's just so many attacks that you get to stop. Like I saw some people running only 2 Power Bursts and like none of this guy. I'm just like, in this deck, if you have blockers and negates, you get to extend the game as long as you want. Like you can just literally make it impossible for your opponent to kill you, and you just like slowly kill them. But just as long as you can't die, like you're eventually gonna kill your opponent. Either they're gonna deck out or you're gonna take their life some way or another. I also bumped this up to 3 because I put the one of my side deck into the main deck. I'm not the biggest fan of this card. Especially because I'm not running a super heavy Overwhelm package, but in matchups where you have to grind and you have to play Demigra like multiple times, this guy is really good just so you can put stuff back into your drop to shuffle back in so you don't deck out. He's also good in the mirror match because since you want to have the most 8-drops, if you just start warping each other's 8-drops and your opponent doesn't have this and you have it, then I just get to put my 8-drops back into my drop and continue to play. And if they don't have this, then they're just eventually going to run out of resources. So that's why he's in there. And then I decide like another copy or 2 of him. And then the last 4 cards in the main deck are the 4 Sparking Super Combos. So I talked about this in my Dallas list. The Sparking is way better than like Roshi or anything that's at 4 life. Just because in my build especially, I'm not running super heavy on Overwhelm. So your drop is always going to have a lot of cards in it. And so this just lets you stay above 4 life. And a lot of times, sometimes you go for game when you're above 4 life too. So this card's just like all around better than the Roshi. Run the Sparking. And then side deck, I need to work on the side deck because obviously the TP Turtles came out. So there's some things I want to test. So right now my side deck is the same as it was in Dallas. But changes will probably be made for PPG Vegas. But yeah, that was the deck. Hope you guys enjoy.